Police in Las Vegas found themselves in the middle of a UFO mystery last month after
To us, big eyes. They have big eyes.
911, what are you reporting? We got someone or something crawling around out here. Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal? Or?
One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the statue, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
What? I don't know. Do you see him now, sir? Yeah, I'm looking right at him. Okay, hang on. He's right. Is he in your yard, sir? Yeah, God, he's big. Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
Mythical Legends Podcast with your host Daniel Barnett.
Welcome to the Mythical Legends Podcast. Today we have an amazing guest which I cannot wait to chat to. He is the most loveliest man I've met for a very, very long time in the Bigfoot world. So, I have a very, very special co-host. She's my partner in crime. You may know her. So let's bring her on. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Very, very, very excited to be here.
Yes,
So
yeah, me
we have a
too.
very, very good guest, don't we?
Absolutely.
I'm very we've just spent about 5 minutes before we came on air chatting. It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a lot of just totally mind-blowing stories to tell us.
Yeah. So everyone who is watching, I'm very, very sure that our guest will be very, very willing to answer any questions. So you are more than welcome to shove it in the chat. We've already had some nice hellos already. Hi, Rebecca, and we have V is on
Okay.
So I reckon let's bring our guest on and let's have a good chat. So today's guest, he's a Bigfoot researcher and Bigfoot witness. Oh, hi, Chris.
Hey, guys.
A Bigfoot witness. So without further ado, here he is, Mr. Darrell Denton. Hey, mate, how are you?
How are you, Daniel? Thanks for having me on. Hi, grandmother. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Great crew here. I appreciate the honor to have me on, buddy.
Thank you.
So
I'm more of an experiencer than anything. I've had lots of encounters, but I'm definitely no expert at anything. So I can only talk about what I've experienced. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I think that's what most people would like to hear, isn't it? Your experiences.
Yeah. So I reckon let's just jump straight in and go with what started your interest in the Bigfoot world, Darrell?
Well, my first encounter was what got me started. I'm not going to say I didn't believe in them, but
go ahead then, mate. Say,
after my first encounter back in November of '92, while I was muzzleloader hunting, that's how I got started in it. I seen one of these creatures come out, and it just scared me to death. I'd never seen anything like that. It looked at me and gritted his teeth and growled at me and tore a limb out of a tree, and then it screamed like a unbelievable scream, and it walked off the other direction, and I jumped about 25 foot out of my tree stand and ran as fast as I could run because I thought the thing was going to kill me, to be truthful. So it was a pretty crazy encounter. It changed my life completely because I had never had any idea that this thing existed, especially where I was at, because I'd hunted there all my life on my grandfather's farm, but never that deep in. I was a lot further in than I normally went, but it was definitely life-changing. It was pretty fearful for a number of years, so it probably took me about 7 years to really get over it. I wouldn't say I ever got over it, but if I hadn't had another encounter by complete accident, in late '99 on the river where I was fishing. I probably would have never gotten over it because I was fearful of them. But after I realized there's some different type out there, and I've seen what I believe to be 3 different type of these creatures. I call the ones on the river, which I encountered when I was fishing, I call them the real forest people. I call the other ones Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or as my native tribe calls them, the Chiatanka, which is Lakota Sioux from my ancestors. So that was how it all got started anyway. I've been very fortunate to have many encounters, and some good and some not good. So
Yeah, cool. Wow.
So we have one question here for you, Darrell. How close was this creature?
I was in a tree stand on about a 45-degree angle hill in Tennessee where I live. The hills and hollows can get really steep and tall. And the tree is straight up overlooking a creek in an open area of a clearing in the woods. And, I was 70, 80 feet maybe from it. Not very far.
Wow.
I was kind of looking down on it. I was up higher than the creature was, but it definitely knew where I was at. It knew I was there. I had heard something when I went into the woods that morning, so I believe that's what I heard.
That's a Class A sighting. That's what you call a Class A sighting. That's an incredible experience, but scary. If I had seen that, I would have just.
I think we're kind of raised to believe that these things don't exist. That's the biggest scary part about it, because I'd hunted in these woods all my life, not that far in, but I'd seen about every creature that lived in that area. But you're not going to, you're not in a tree stand 25 feet up, and you have what I call a monster walk out of a cane thicket and act like it wanted to kill me. So it wasn't happy with me. Its face was kind of contorted. It was mad. It looked mad, and it was not happy I was there. So it was definitely a life-changing experience. I didn't hunt in the woods. I didn't hunt in the woods for probably 7 years. I didn't go in the woods. I've never been back to that spot where my stand was. So it's still there, I guess. I don't know, but along with my binoculars and some other things I left in the tree. So I jumped out of a tree stand about 25 foot up, and all I carried with me was my 50 caliber black powder rifle, and I slid all the way down in the leaves into the creek, and I turned and ran and just kept looking back for it to see if it was chasing me, and fortunately it wasn't. But it was pretty frightening. My grandfather, I guess, was the most shocking, because my granddad and I were super close. And he was 92 years old at that time. But he wasn't like a regular 92-year-old man. He was a hard-working farmer, and he was more like a 70-year-old at that time. And when I ran into the house, I couldn't even breathe. I was trying to catch my breath. And he said, my granddad never called me by my name. He called me boy. He said, boy, what's wrong with you? And it took me a while to get my breath, and I finally got it. And I said, I've seen a monster in the woods. And, well, what did it look like? And I told him. He goes, oh, you seen the wood booger. I said, a wood booger? What is a wood booger? I've never heard of a wood booger. So that's what this particular type creature was called. My granddad had seen them 4 times in his lifetime and heard them a lot more than that.
Wow.
But he'd never mentioned them to me, and he told me that he didn't mention them because he wanted me to hunt and camp in the woods and all the things I did. He didn't want to ruin my feeling toward the outdoors. But it was pretty shocking.
Wow.
My granddad knew about these creatures all his life, and he never told me about them. So I always thought we were pretty close. I'm not sure how close we were now, but it was. He never told me about it.
Sorry.
Sorry. So questions that I don't have my on my sheet, but I just need to ask you, how did you feel after the experience? Did you go out and immediately tell people? Did you?
Well, I was, like I said, I ran to my grandfather's house first. After I crossed the second hill, there was 3 big hills I had to cross to get to this spot. It was about an hour walk from my grandfather's house, and he lives in a very rural area, way out in the country. And I had 3 of my buddies with me. We had hunted there 5 or 6 years. We had a camper parked next to his barn, and we had 4-wheelers, ATVs. They were hunting in a different area, and I was hunting somewhere I'd never hunted before. And when they came back in a couple hours, I was still in shock of what I'd seen. I kept looking out the windows and the back door to make sure this thing wasn't coming, and it was very different. And I went out and greeted them when they came back in. One of them had got a deer, and he had it hanging in the tree next to the barn there, so I skinned it out. And we had hunted there for 5 or 6 years previously. Same crew, Scott, Jason, and Cody, my deer hunting partners in that day. And we always got deer, but I wanted to get a big deer, so I went deeper in. And I was mainly looking for a trophy more than I was to put meat on the table. So, I would say I probably had nightmares every night for
Wow.
4 or 5 months. Couldn't sleep. I mean, I still today don't sleep very well. But, I had nightmares for a long time. It didn't go away real easy. And if I hadn't run into my second encounter, I don't think I would have ever gotten over it. But, they still went hunting up there. I went with them 2 or 3 years after that. I didn't hunt. They did. And I told them I just didn't care about hunting. I mentioned to them what I'd seen, and they just said, "You must have had too much to drink last night." I said, "I didn't have anything to drink." And they said, "No, we ain't never seen anything like that." And I just kind of let it go from there. But, it was a different time. When you go back to the 90s, this was 1992, there weren't any Facebook groups. There weren't any radio or podcast shows to talk about it. You couldn't really talk to anybody about it because everybody thought you were crazy. And fortunately, my best friend at that time, and still is my best friend, Martin Groves, who's had the experience a year later, and he's one of my research partners now. He had a dogman encounter in Kentucky, Tennessee area, and he and I would get together. At that time, I was the mayor of my town, and he was chief deputy sheriff of the county. And we would talk about our stuff at lunch. I was really the only person I had to talk to about anything crazy like that. So you go running around town telling people you've seen a Bigfoot in the woods. I mean, they all think you've lost your mind. So, I told my family, and they just looked at me and said, "Well, you probably seen a bear." I said, "No, it wasn't no bear." But, since then it's changed a lot. It's very open when you've got a group like we've got, and you've got a podcast like you've got. It really does help people to understand encounters better. And they're not as fearful. They feel safer than they once did. So I'll go ahead and let you talk.
It's still met with a lot of skepticism, though, isn't it? I mean, particularly here in the UK, it's like, it's something that happens in America. It's all Americanized. And I think Daniel has had a lot of problems trying to just explain to people all the stories we've heard from around the world.
And especially when, and Darrell, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but have you seen my post about me finding primate DNA here in the UK? So the person who did that with me was Jill. So we both came over this print, and ever since that's gone out, we've had an amazing reply to that, and then a group of people that just didn't and went, "You faked it. You've gone and planted Bigfoot hair there." I'm going, what? I'm 14, and you're telling me that I've gone and planted Bigfoot hair there. It's weird though, isn't it? It's like that's weird.
I gave up a long time ago. When I first went through this, was it got a little more open. I gave up a long time ago at trying to convince people that they were real. I mean, you just give up on that. So,
Yeah.
I just I knew what I'd seen. I knew they were real, and I didn't really care what anybody thought. So, you have to really take it on like that. If you don't, you're going to be all by yourself, and it's going to really hit you hard at times, But, we've got so many other people that's seen these creatures. I mean, the people in my group are amazing. Jennifer Appleton in my group, Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures, she sees them every day. And, there's other people in the group that see them regularly. Beth Collinsworth in the group. Of course, my great friend Ron Moorhead, he don't see him every day, but he's one of my research partners. And Martin Groves, Barton Nunley, we were just in the LBL roughly 5 weeks ago and had Bigfoot all around us. They were everywhere, just breaking limbs and everything else. And, it was an experience where you realize real quick, if you're not a believer, you'll become one. So, there's so many people, though, that have as many experiences that I've had or more, I can just go down the list of all the people that are in my admin and moderators, for example, that I've had encounters, just name so many that see them regularly. So
there is loads there. Yeah, there is. I've seen them. Yeah. And there is some good names there. Yeah, go on.
Can I just ask us, of the different encounters you've had, are there a lot of differences that you think in their personalities then? Because you said the first one seemed quite aggressive.
100%. The first one was the first one I've seen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, have they seemed a little bit more tolerant towards you or even friendly? I just wonder if they have this different, because you're obviously not terrified of them anymore.
Well, I know this much. I don't know how many different types there are. I know there's probably more than I've seen, but I've seen I've seen 3 different types. And what I say by type is their appearance is really different. So the ones I had, the first one I seen was what I looked up. At that time there was nowhere, you couldn't Google it. I went to the library after this, and I finally found a picture. It was called a wood booger, a type 2, and that's what my grandfather had called it. It just didn't say type 2 when he mentioned it, but on the picture it showed like 10 different types. And it was a really mean looking type creature. The second ones I seen, they were more like the type 3 or 4, a little more looked a little more like the Patty type. Real friendly. They were never aggressive toward me. There was quite a bit of a number in that family, and I befriended them for probably about 3.5 years. I went to see them every day or every other day, except one time. I was always there, rain, snow, anything. I went every day or every other day, and I was very friendly with them. They accepted me. It took a long time for me to earn the trust from them. About 2.5 years probably before they really felt comfortable with me. They wouldn't come all the way out. I only seen 3 in that family. And there was more. I could hear them. But 3 of them, one of them became real friendly with me. And they were a completely different type. And then the other one that I've seen, I've had a couple other encounters besides that. And I've seen some other ones just walking somewhere. Or my daughter is 9 years old, and she is so into this. It's funny because my son is 15. He could care less about it. My oldest daughter doesn't care anything about it. My grandson, he cares about it. He's not as into it as much as my daughter. Me and my 9-year-old daughter, she had her first sighting in August of this year. We were riding down these country roads, and it was almost dark. in August, about 8:45 here our time, which was daylight enough to see. And we're just driving down these roads. I'm taking her back to her mother's house, and she says, "Dad, there's a man chasing a deer." And I looked over real quick and I said, "That's not a man, that's a Bigfoot." And she goes, "I've finally seen one." And she seen the back of it as it went into the woods. And of course, I immediately pulled over, and there was a lady and her daughter in front of me. They pulled over, and I went up to their car. The lady was scared to death. She goes, "What was that?" And I said, "Well, that's what we call a Bigfoot." And she said, she rolled the window up real quick like she thought I was crazy. And her daughter took off, and me and my daughter pulled off the road off into a little logging road and I went back into the woods trying to find it. I said, "You stay in the car and lock the doors and let me go back and see if I can get a picture of it." And of course, she got a great picture of the deer running. She didn't get a picture of the back. All she caught was the head and the back of the Bigfoot going into the woods. But it was her first sighting. She's so excited. She talks about it regularly. She wants to go over there and spend the night in the woods. And so she's into it. She's 9 years old. She'll be 10 in January. So she's about the only support I have in the family as far as that goes. But the rest of them could care less about it. But the third creature was real. The third type I seen was real similar to the second type, except the face was a little different. So when I said different, it had more human look to it than the other ones. So I don't know how many different types. If you look in books and different things, you see 10 or 12 different types. I don't know. I've seen what I believe to be 3. But,
wow, that's just incredible.
I will add, and then there's a few questions. There's a very, very recent sighting from someone named Danny in chat saying, "Our forest creature was passing through yesterday morning and roared at my wife and daughter."
Yeah.
Wow.
I know Danny and Aretha Mitchell. They're great people. They're really good friends of mine. They're in the group also. And I've been telling them for quite a while I'm going to get out there and check out their place. And I'm so glad that they're doing better. They all had COVID last week. But yeah, Danny and Aretha and their daughter, they have, I believe, a family on their property. And I'm still planning on getting out there. I do message them quite often. They're just really wonderful people. But I think they have a whole family at their place.
Wow. I will ask, do these creatures look primate to you?
They don't to me.
Wow.
And I personally believe that I don't think they're ape at all. I think they're ancient people. Nobody will ever convince me they're an ape. They're way too smart, very intelligent, they're very elusive. They're smarter than a lot of people. You can go in, they know what your intentions are. They can just read you. They know I'm not sure they don't know what I'm thinking, but they definitely know. They know your intentions. If you're in there to hunt one or harm it, that's why they're probably so elusive. So many people have shot at them and probably killed them and everything else, but they aren't very trusting with humans. And quite frankly, I don't blame them.
Quite right. Yes, yeah. Humans can't be trusted, can they? Not all of us.
Well, your first reaction is going to be if you see something like I did on the first encounter. I only had one shot. There was a 50 caliber black powder muzzleloader, which you had to put a ramrod down it. And you had one 50 caliber shot. It would have took me a good 3 minutes to reload, and that's fast. But I didn't know where to shoot it or what to do because I didn't think one bullet would take it down. So I thought it was best to just hope and pray that I could get away. So
angry.
Yeah, only a little bit. So Darrell, you have a question up there. It was V wondering what colors were the Bigfoot.
I've never seen any color but black. I've probably seen. Now I've seen some numerous times. The ones on the river, I've seen them numerous times. So there was 3 that I seen there. My first one, I seen one, and I've probably seen. I've seen 6 in the national forest, the Shenandoah National Forest, and those scared me to death. And I had 2 that, maybe 3. I only seen 2 of those that terrorized my farm and killed my cats and tried to kill me. And then I we had a Billy Howell, one of my research partners. He's probably on here. Martin Groves, Martin Unley, Billy Howell, and Ron Moorhead has recently kind of joined up with us in our area, and we're planning to do a lot more expeditions. But those guys are the ones that I've been with the most. That my close friend Darry passed away a couple of years ago. He witnessed quite a few with me, but they've all been black.
I know Ron very, very well.
Yeah, they've all been black. Billy just seen a brown one at our old location in Cheatham County, Tennessee, maybe 2 months ago. He's seen 3 in one night, 2 black and a brown. That was a research area that we started in about 2017 or 18. And there's a whole family there. And had a lot of weird occurrences at that place. But Billy still goes there with another member of our group, Chester Smith. And they see him pretty regular. David also lives there. He's probably on here now. He sees them all the time. But me personally, I don't know how many I've seen. I'd have to count them up. But I seen one crossing the interstate last February in Tennessee about 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And they've all been black. I've never seen any color but black.
Wow. The comment says I have an older 8 grey that roams around.
Yeah. The gray ones, from what I'm told, I haven't seen a gray one, but I've heard about gray, more of a salt and pepper type, gray and black mixed. And Danny, like I said, he has a family living on his farm, and he's told me about the gray one. And I know that they come. I've heard of people seeing them in gray, brown, kind of a reddish brown color, then a brown. I've even heard of a light beige color, but me personally, just black.
Wow. Well, it kind of reminds me of like humans with skin color. We have all different types of skin color here in the world.
True.
Maybe it's similar with Bigfoot.
Like a different race.
I don't see why not. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Well, I think Rebecca Currington, she's one of my admins. Her and Robin Haynes have seen many of them. And I believe she's seen one that was almost a beige color. She lives in South Carolina. Now, that's kind of an unusual color. I haven't heard of that one very much. But, I'm sure they come, like you said, in all colors, because it's like the human race, we're red skin, light skin, dark skin. So I think there's a different type of what I call Sasquatch when you get up into the British Columbia area. Those seem to be, well, Kenny and Vicky Busby in Arkansas that are in my group. They have one that's 16 feet tall that they visit regularly. I think his name's Junior, and he's black, but they have some different colored ones there too.
Wow.
They have
huge, isn't it?
Yeah, they have one, I think I could be wrong on Junior. It's one of them that's 16 foot. Junior may be 12 or 14 foot. But all these people have, these are credible people. I mean, they're not just coming up with some kind of story. They got them.
No.
And there's a whole lot of other people in the group that's got, these creatures. And that's the sad part about research. I don't really research like I once did for a while. I lived in the woods for practically 9 years. I was out every night looking at these things, I'm not as big into research now as I was then. We mainly just research the dog man now in an area, and
Wow.
we do run into Bigfoot. We seen one recently. There was two behind our cabin we were in, and we've seen several in our location, but we're mainly looking into the dog man now because of the fact because of all the things that's happened in the area we're in with attacks and stuff. That's our biggest reason for being there. Martin Groves has really led a real project of his own there to try to stop all that from happening, from innocent people being harmed and by these things. And I don't personally think that all the dog men are bad. I mean, I don't know that. I've seen two, and neither one of them tried to kill me, and one of them could have, but it was 7 to 10 foot from me. So,
Wow.
I don't know. I will say this: I don't trust the dog man. So I feel a little more trustworthy with Bigfoot, even though I've had some bad encounters. Normally, they'll give you a chance.
It shows that there's so many different cryptids out there that we still don't know about. And I keep saying to the people here in the UK, you are never going to cover every cryptid in deep detail in your lifetime. It's impossible. You can't. In deep detail, you can't. It's
there's a
just
lot
so
of
hard.
there. It seems, and I don't know what it is and why it is, but I know for sure myself from when I started really researching, which was about 99 when I really got into it, when I met the ones on the river by accident. I wasn't even looking for a Bigfoot. They scared me to death when I found out that's what I was in there with. But I was just fishing and run into these things. But they were really they were never aggressive. They were friendly. I think it has a lot to do too. They read people, and I know they can. Have I ever mind spoke with them? No, I haven't, but many people have. My close friend Scott Pace has, and he does it regularly. They seem to do that with some people. I've been zapped by them twice, and that's infrasounded, and that's a terrible feeling. You get around
Yeah.
one that doesn't want you there, you'll know it. So, and I've had orbs come in and out of nowhere with Billy Howell and myself, and those things have a lot. All this stuff's connected somehow. When I say connected, I mean all the inhumanoids, cryptids, Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, some ghosts. Somehow, I believe it's all connected. I don't know how, but
yeah.
it's,
We
if
we had a
you go in the
sorry.
woods with a gun or a camera, your chances of seeing one is pretty slim because these they have a scout out normally, which is normally a younger one, and he's out watching. When you pull up, they know you're there. You're not going to outsmart them. That's why I tell people all the time: don't waste your time with trail cameras. We've had trail cameras. They've twisted them. They've broke them. They've stomped them. They've twisted them on the back of the tree. This is not an ape. This is a.
Oh, gone.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
You went.
Oh, back.
There you are.
Yeah. We've just had that conversation actually about trail cameras, haven't we, Daniel? Because we had that advice from someone else as well to say don't put them up.
Yeah.
You hear of a few people that get pictures, on a trail camera, but normally it's not a clear picture. It's either a face real close or an arm or something, because they know that cameras there, and yes, they can see the infrared in them, but there are cameras that aren't infrared, and they still seem to find them. They're just very intelligent. They're not like not that an ape is dumb, but these things are as intelligent as we are. You got to think they've been out in those woods for all these years. They know how to, hide themselves. They
know what they're doing, don't they? Yeah.
You can walk right by one and probably never see it. I know I have. And, it just conceals itself with the brush and the wood, and it just blends in with it. And, I've taken pictures, and didn't see any that day, and then you go back and look at the pictures and you find one or two in there. So it's they're really good at concealing themselves. I do believe they cloak or go interdimensional. Have I seen one do that? No, not right in front of me. But Ron Moorhead believes that, and if Ron Moorhead told me it was sunny in midwinter and it wasn't snowing, I would believe him. So he's just that honest and that honorable. But he believes it, and I feel like his book, The Quantum Bigfoot, pretty much explains it about as good as anything I've ever heard. So go ahead, Daniel. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right. So that was a lot of info in one. Yeah, that's
it's quite hard, I think, for us to take all that in, isn't it? Because we're just clues and things here, and then
we've come across some bits and bobs, haven't we? Odd scat bones, but nothing.
No idea what it means.
Nothing like yours, mate. That's wow. Yeah, mate, that's incredible. I'm gonna switch gears completely and go. What are your thoughts on the Patterson Gimlin film?
100% legitimate, real.
Amazing.
100%. One of my closest friends believes it's a fake, and that's okay. We're still best friends, but no, I don't think it was a fake. I think it's as real as it gets. And it's MK Davis has done such a great job breaking that down. Thinker Thunker everybody has broke it down, and everybody says, well, look at the muscle tone, the way it moves. Yes, I believe that. I don't think it's fake. I think it's 100% real. So I don't know how anybody there's so many good videos. If you get, you look at the Freeman footage, it's probably my second favorite of all time. And Paul Freeman was just incredible. He'd go out and look for these things, and had one of those old 9mm or cameras, and he got what I think is probably the second best footage I've ever seen. Michael Freeman, his son, he promotes Paul now. Paul's gone, but Paul Freeman done a lot for the Bigfoot. He really done a lot for the Bigfoot exploring and people out trying to prove they were real. And there's a lot of other ones too. I've posted several times top 10 what I consider the best. The Mississippi skunk ape is one that's just incredible. The guy catches that. How many times do you see that? The girl turkey hunting that catches two walking right by her. There's many of them. The 4th of July footage. Some people say that's fake. I don't think it is. It's a Bigfoot carrying a baby next to some big boulders. And there's a lot of good footage out there. Now you've got more people in the woods than you've ever had. And I think that, I think that there's more of these creatures now than there ever was. And I think their numbers are growing. I hear these numbers all the time. There might be 4,000 in the United States. I just start laughing because I believe there's that many in my area. But I don't know how many there are, but there's a great number of them. And there's a lot more creatures that we've never heard of now. People are seeing all kinds of different things that I've never seen. But I've seen a Bigfoot and a dog man. I haven't seen little people. I haven't seen an alien. I haven't seen a lot of things. A lizard creature, which Rebecca Curtin talks about quite often down in her area of South Carolina. There's people that see things all the time, and, credibility on it is, it's kind of hard to prove it. You just have to tell people what you've seen because, I took 32 pictures with a disposable camera with my Bigfoot on the river back in 99 to probably 2000, middle of 2001. And every picture turned out black. There was nothing on the picture. Now, how does that happen?
Wow.
I've also been in the woods. I've also been in the woods too with Billy Howell in Cheatham County, and all of our equipment went dead. Flashlights, cell phone, battery. My watch even stopped at 12:40. My watch stopped at 12:48 at in the late night. I don't know how that happens, but they have a way of special abilities that we don't understand. I think the human race itself, over the years, we don't practice things that our ancient people once did, and we have a lot more abilities than we think we have. And I do think there's more dimensions than we can see, like a dog or a cat can see. They say 3 or 4. I don't know how reliable that is, but I think there's other dimensions. Portals, I have seen 2 portals. Jennifer Appleton has one of the best portals I've ever seen at her place in a storm where Bigfoot walks out of one. And Scott Carpenter, the late Scott Carpenter, my good friend who helped me rebuke the ones at my farm back in 2020. He had one of the best ones ever on a trail behind him with some kind of creature coming out of it. I don't know. It's hard to explain all that.
And I'll jump in right there, and I'm going to tell you the absolute truth is I haven't done any work into the paranormal world because in my mind at 14 and autistic, it's very hard to kind of keep an open mind about it. And even Jill can say this is we haven't really taken much into the portal side, but you aren't the first person to say it, and it's starting to actually just go, hold on a minute, for some weird thing, maybe it is going on, maybe it actually is there, and it's just incredible that, and I know if we saw it, we would go, we've seen it, and a lot of people go, no, that's mad. But if you've seen it, then
this is the next best thing, Daniel, isn't it? Like, we haven't seen anything, but we're literally talking to a really well-known, respected person that is telling us this.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that people don't understand, and your regular researchers, and I don't personally call people that go in the woods on the weekend once a month researchers. I mean, they're going out there trying to find something, and that's all good. I'm not criticizing, but you have to spend a tremendous amount of time deep in and with these in the same area they're in, and you've got to go out there and really spend an unbelievable amount of time and energy to see things. I mean, you're not going. You may get lucky and walk in and run right up on one, but it's only because they wanted you to see them because they knew you were there. You're not going to trick one and sneak in on him. So for some reason, they may want you to see them. I don't know. You've got people like Danny and Aretha there, and Rebecca Curtin has them all around her place, like Jennifer Appleton does, and Robin Haynes has them. She has the same. There's so many people that have them, around their place that they're not even fearful of them anymore. They've learned to adapt with them and understand they're not there to harm them. But like I said, that's the good kind. Now, there are those I believe that would probably harm you and might even kill you. But you don't ever know what you're going to run into out there. That's the big thing I tell people all the time. When you go into the woods, don't ever go by yourself. Take at least one person and always let somebody know where you're going.
I can run faster than Jill, Darren. So, Darrell, I can run faster than Jill. I'm absolutely fine.
That's what he keeps telling me. Every time we go out.
Daniel, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you can probably outrun me. But my best friend Martin Groves, he says I'm the fat man. Just let them get me. You guys get away. So, but we would never leave him if something attacked him. But it's just what it is. You've got people that work real hard and they really try real hard to see these creatures, and they don't see anything. They get frustrated. They can't understand why they can't see one. And then you've got other people that go in and their first 2 or 3 times they've found them, but
Same thing. Yeah.
You know, anytime you for the three things I tell people all the time, if you want to find a family, I do things a little different. If I'm out by myself or with another friend, I meditate or say a little prayer before I go in, because these are creatures of the forest and they respect the forest. And I do think people that have what I call a real intense, clear heart have a better chance to see creatures like this than other people who have a ill-minded feeling of wanting to harm them. Because there's a lot of people that go in. I've had people call me, "Hey, let's take me to your spot. I want to shoot one. I'm going to sell it for $1 million." And I say, "No, I'm not taking you in there." But there's people that's their main goal to get
mindset,
one, and
isn't it? Mm.
I don't believe that would work anyway, because if you shot one of these things, I don't believe you're going to get out of the woods alive, because the rest of the family is just like your family. Somebody harms you, then your family's going to try to protect you. So, but there are, there are people that have the wrong intent. If you can find, these creatures are always going to be close to water. They're always going to be close to a food source, which in my area is mainly deer and wild hogs that they feed on. And they're always going to be in an area where they can see you before you can see them. A thick, concealed area or a higher up area where they can watch you. And their intent is not to be harmed. So I see Harley's got something up there. I don't know what he's asking, but
Harley's. Yeah, you are very, very liked in the chat, Darrell. I've had the most viewers I've had on a live stream tonight.
Well,
so
I mean,
thank you so much.
I think it's just good friends of mine that I asked to watch. We wanted to help you with your show and hopefully get you some views. And
thanks, Darrell.
On top of the fact that most of the people that are on here, I know most of them, and Harley's a good researcher. So
Harley has Harley contacted me probably about 10 minutes before this interview. So Harley, I will definitely get back to you about the encounter. She sent a massive message. Is it good?
I can't read the message. I can just see the name, but I don't know what the message is. But I do know.
So you've had some very, very good comments here. So V said this. Please, can Darrell tell us about Dogman, please? Are they associated with portals and cloaking there?
That I couldn't answer for you. I can only speak of what I've done or seen or encountered. I've never seen a Dogman cloak. My first sighting of a Dogman was in 2021, October, and that was in Tazewell, Virginia. A man contacted me with his son about his goats being killed, and I went up there for nearly a month, every day, trying to see this creature. I knew what it was when I seen the footprints around the goat pen that all the goats were killed by this time I was there. But I knew it wasn't a Bigfoot. I knew the track because I've seen lots of Dogman tracks, mainly in the LBL and a few other areas with my good friend Martin Groves and Barton Unley. Billy Howell, I think, also had a really good Dogman print not long ago he posted. But and a lot of others have good Dogman prints. But the one I seen, my first one, I was about to the giving up point, and I caught this one coming across the field. It didn't run like a dog; it galloped like a horse, and I watched it run from one corner down to another corner, and I was on a hill next to my truck with binoculars watching this. It looked just like a German Shepherd. The head did, a black German Shepherd, It wasn't huge. It was right around 6 foot tall or a little taller. The weirdest thing about it was when it got to the fence line, it stood up on its hind legs and it climbed over the fence like a person and looked right in my direction, did not see me, but it looked like a black German Shepherd head, but it was walking like a man. The second one I'd seen was with Martin Groves in October of 22, a year ago. October 19th, I believe, was the date. We had been back. He wanted me to go back with him to his 29th anniversary of the place that he and his partner were attacked by some dog man and Bigfoot. And we were in there late at night, and we got on this area is so remote. There's roads everywhere, gravel, dirt roads. There's about 170,000 acres back in there. That particular one was probably the strangest thing that I've ever witnessed. I was 5 to 10 feet from it. I was looking right at it. It was kind of a mist at first. It was laying in a ditch line, which turned out to be an old creek bed next to a culvert is where it was laying in the middle of nowhere and way out. And this was late at night, and it was kind of a misty looking, and I kept looking at it. I thought, what is that? And about the time I told Martin to look, he said, I see it. And it was kind of a bluish color at first, and then it turned into a gray silver color. And it was somewhere between 8 to 10 foot in size, and it had a head that was about half the size of our truck windshield. It was massive head, and it had mane below its head like a line. Had like a smirk on its face, almost like a grin. It was staring right at me. It had eyes that looked like 2 tiny flashlights, clear and deep. And it was the strangest thing I ever seen. As it got up, it was laying down when we spotted it, looking right at me. And when it got up and went behind the vehicle we were sitting in, it the very tips of its hair were lit up like they had light in them. It was very strange looking. But when it got up, you could see through this thing. It was transparent at the same time, and you could see it. And Martin we were both hit with infrasound, and I didn't get hit nearly as bad as he did. But the whole inside of the truck smelled so bad that he couldn't hardly stand the smell. And Martin was so sick, I was worried about him because he was having a hard time breathing. His throat swelled together and his tongue swelled up. And
wow.
I had a massive headache and chest felt like heavy in my chest, and my legs were tingly, but he was a lot worse than I was. And I was real concerned about him getting out of there. But this thing went behind our truck, went through a little field, and then went up the side of a bank, and you could hear it breaking limbs and branches going up this hillside. It was heavy sounding, and it was just never seen anything like that in my life. It was just absolutely the strangest thing I've ever seen. It was almost cartoonish looking. So, but, we got out of there, and I was worried about him. We got to a spot where he could get out and move around a little bit, and he got a little better. But he was sick for about a week over that. I got well that night. I was better. But I don't really know. We just I was fortunate enough to be asked to do a documentary with Small Town Monsters with Martin Groves and some other people in our group. Hellbent Holler was there, Joe and Jesse Dole, and some other people also. But we went back to the location late October this year and went through the whole reenactment with them and told the story and took them back to the exact spot. And we were even out there in the dark at night. They was hoping to, get us out of there, but we and they had a few weird sounds out there themselves. They got a little nervous, but they've been around. Excuse me, they've been around that type of stuff so often. I don't think that bothers them too much, But that's a strange area that we go into. It's called Land Between the Lakes, LBL, people call it, in Tennessee and Kentucky in the U.S. And been lots of dogman sightings there and Bigfoot, and supposedly a lot of attacks too of people have been attacked by the dogman. So,
Wow.
Me and Barton and Martin, Barton Only and Martin Groves go there at least once a month and stay 2 or 3, 4 nights. And this Ron Moorhead went with us last time we were there, and he had a great time. And that was the same night we were having all the Bigfoot action out next to the cabin. They were breaking limbs and everything watching us. And but it's
Now,
Dogman, I don't know what to tell you. I've only seen 2. I don't know if they can go interdimensional. What I seen was kind of interdimensional, but it wasn't. I don't know if they come out of portals or not. Martin thinks it was coming out of a portal. That's what that blue mist was. We seen it first, but it may have been. I don't know. I'm definitely not an expert on Dogman.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Darrell, and just go to this comment. Now, Jill, this comment here says this person's found 18-inch Bigfoot tracks.
Oh man, that's Roger. That's Roger. Roger's got a great podcast himself. He's in the group. He's got
amazing.
Squatch and Holler.
So the reason why I pointed that out, Darrell, is because it's the same size as our footprint we found.
Yeah, he was actually, Roger was actually in the same area that we were in February of this year when we had dogmen all around us. They were howling. It got pretty scary that night. We were out there in the middle of an area, and it got pretty crazy. Matter of fact, I'd never seen Martin get nervous like that. And Martin and I were sitting next to the fire, and you could hear howls. I mean, you could hear these dogmen were coming. And, we're sitting there trying to be calm, and Martin's had got zapped that night before that happened. And he wasn't feeling very well, and he was late. His seat was laid back in his Suburban part right next to us at the fire. And
wow,
strange thing about that night is, Beth Collinsworth. I can't get any cell service there at all. I mean, I get nothing. I can't get a signal, no Wi-Fi. And Beth Collinsworth calls me at 2:00 in the morning. How she did it, I don't know. She's in the group, but she has pretty good special ability about her anyway. And I answer the phone and I said, Beth, and she goes, I don't even have any service. How'd she call me? And she said, how'd you call me? And she said, you got these creatures, they're all around you, and there's a feral man with them. And I said, really? So Martin gets up, he gets out of the truck, he goes into the woods. I said, don't go in the woods, man. These dogmen are coming, they're around, we can hear them. And we already had a Bigfoot to the left on the top of the hill.
Wow.
He'd been watching us for about an hour and a half behind a tree. And Martin goes into the woods. And I'm trying to yell at him, and Barton too. And I said, don't go in the woods, man. And he just
don't go.
Right past the fire and walks into the woods and starts chanting, I don't know, I think a religious scripture. And I'm talking about it got as quiet as you could hear a pin drop. We didn't hear another sound the rest of the night. So these creatures all these creatures, Bigfoot, Dogman, they know what Jesus Christ is. They fear Jesus Christ. So I don't know.
Wow.
Don't know how that works, but it does. And that's what stopped me back in 2020 with Scott Carpenter when he helped me rebuke him at my farm. So
it's such a big and interesting mystery, and you could go on for days and days and just speak about it, couldn't you? It's just
I've just learned so much and experienced so much over the years. Getting back to Roger a minute ago, man, he found some great tracks. He spent, I think, weekend before last up there, close to the same area we were in, and Roger done a great job. He found some nice tracks. He found some areas where he thought they were at, and he was real close to where we were at. He wasn't very far. That area up in there is real. A lot of people won't go in there. We were told that we were the only people that ever stayed the night there, ever. Nobody else would stay there. But we may not have made it ourselves. It hadn't been for Martin doing what he did, but it was very strange.
Mate, your stories this evening have been incredible. Jill, would you agree with that? Those stories have been
you
blown my mind.
Talk all night, couldn't you? It's so fascinating. It's amazing speaking to you. The only thing I'm just keeping my eye on the timer, Daniel, because you're going to have to probably close it fairly soon. I'm talk forever, but we're on a
Darrell. I'm just gonna say thank you so much for being on with us, and thank you to everyone in the chat. We've had some brilliant questions. Darrell, I think you're the most famous in my podcast at the moment.
You just got started. I'm sure you'll have a lot more famous than me. I'm not famous. I'm just me. But if you, I don't mind answering any questions that I can. But if you're welcome, I'm not in a hurry. If you need to go, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. I'm honored to be on your show.
We are very, very glad to have you. So thank you so much, everyone, and please subscribe to the Mythical Legends show. Now we have a great intro, but thank you so much, guys, and we shall see you very, very soon.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Mythical Legends podcast. For more information, check out our Facebook group. The truth is out there.